For July the 22nd, 2022, we talk about Stray, Last Call BBS, 20 Minutes Till Dawn, and much more. Welcome to Level 422. My name is Cole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm David Maismith.
And I'm Ben Merkel.
And you are listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Back again, doing two in a row feels weird.
Do you want to call
Wah,
off? Or,
wah, wah,
no.
A meter appeared in the side of my screen here.
A meter? What?
Yeah, the combo meter.
Oh yes. No, I'm still a little messed up because our recording, my personal recording schedule is affected by Gary. He's recovered from COVID, which is nice. I was able to leave our jokes in last week, which is good. But now he's moving, so everything is still chaotic.
A significant move, or
just move it into a bigger place.
Just his pinky
that's good.
fingers for right now.
It moved me to a bigger house.
Oh, set the quiet part loud. Yeah. So I don't have much going on. Who else has got stuff going? Ben, I want to hear what you got going on.
I had visitors in over the weekend. 2 college roommates came in from out of town, so I think a total of 3 guests staying in my apartment, and my apartment's only like 620 square feet. So
Oh wow.
it was, but it was fine. We managed. I think the space is set up well, so nobody really got in each other's way, and it was a good time. We all being people from the Midwest, we went to a shit ton of breweries and ate a shit ton of high fat food. So very bloated weekend.
Yeah,
But,
I'm sure you woke up yesterday feeling great.
I had a banana sandwich today, and it's like, oh, this is nice. Like, I don't have to fart every 30 minutes. So
Plants,
Yeah.
yes.
hey, hops is a plant.
But the cheese fries that often go along with the hops are not. Parts of it are. Yeah. Anyway.
But yeah, it was awesome seeing everyone. Got some good board game time in there for a little bit. So yeah,
Nice.
it's cool.
Very cool. Yeah. Dennis, how about you?
Yeah, I've got a traditional Dennis pseudo video game related story.
I'm shaking my fist.
This past week, I fixed my PC with a bendy straw.
What?
Nice.
Yeah. So
Which
not
part?
not as fancy as it sounds, but the fan for my PSU was making like a little tick 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 tick, where like one of the blades was every so often like hitting something in the casing. So
Okay.
I got my space set up, opened it up, took a look at it, and saw what I could do, and put it back together, and it went from tick 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 to and I'm like, oh god, oh no, this is bad. So opened it up again and looked around some more and figured out like the spacing of the grate that goes over the fan. I don't know if the grate got bent or what, but it was too close. And I used a bendy straw, like cut little sections to do like a makeshift spacer to put around the screw so that it would push the grate out just a little bit further. And it is quiet as a mouse now.
Nice.
So, but did you get naked?
I mean,
The
that's how
most-
you
Yes.
repair computers, right?
No, yeah, it's important to get naked so as not to build up static charge.
Yeah. I did, but it was unrelated. But now I'm seeing actually the threads of connection to the success. No, is it? Can we have the like a Jewish law version of getting naked? You know how like you put a string around New York so that you can go anywhere in New York on the Sabbath.
yeah.
We need like there is always a PC repairman naked somewhere, and that's his job, is just being naked, so the rest of us can fix computers closed.
Yeah. he's the static shock eater. Yeah.
Yes.
Huh. Yeah.
But yeah, so it was a fun little project, and fixed a thing without ruining my multi-hundreds of dollars piece of hardware, and that always feels good.
Or spending a whole bunch of money.
No, yeah, just the cost of a bendy straw.
Yeah, I got burned on that once. My fan was it was I don't know, it was just weird. So I took a baseball card and put it in the spokes. That way I sound like a motorcycle.
But the style points, like that's the new RGB right there.
Yes, yeah, noisy computers.
RGB, I got RBI.
Red, green, blue.
Runs batted in on a baseball card. I acknowledge that's a stretch.
Okay. Nice. Well, congratulations on your ingenious solution to that problem. Fan noise is fucking awful. That's why I like Max. Yeah.
Also an ingenious solution to talking about video games in the open.
Oh, yeah. David, how about you?
Not a whole heck of a lot. Did I mention last time for Dragon Con we're doing I don't know if you guys have seen Book of Boba Fett. There's a segment where they're doing basically the Tusken Raiders have a sort of weapons dance they do around campfire for like a ceremony.
Okay.
And so my martial arts club is teaching that at the Star Wars track of Dragon Con. So was learning watching the scene over and over again and learning the choreography so we can teach it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's actually really really cool, really well done. Very simple, but actually pretty legitimate. It could almost actually be like a basic, how to use this weapon type of thing. It's really cool.
Is it especially elaborate or
no? And that's the thing. Like it's basically there's two different kind of sets of movements that are each about like 6 motions long. So like, one motion is like thrust or, spin around or, something like that. Mm-hmm. And you basically, everyone does, one set and then does kind of this, choreographed like walking around the fire in a circle, and then does the next set, walk around the fire in the circle, then, back to the first set and just, repeats.
The tricky part's going to be lighting a fire on a stage in that convention.
Yeah, so we're looking at one of those like
it's not nylon with LEDs.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to bring a can of Sterno, but apparently that would be frowned upon.
I imagine trying to get through security with that. Man, can you imagine working security at a place where people bring in fake weapons?
Oh, yeah, no, I cannot imagine at all. Especially because, like, you can bring in real swords and stuff. You just have to piece tie it.
Okay.
Basically, you tie the sword into the scabbard.
Okay, so it can't be drawn.
Right, which makes no sense, both if, one, if it's a mass-based weapon, that doesn't really work.
Right.
And two, like, at least in Sealot, the samurai have, like, the quick draw thing. In Sealot, the traditional way you draw your weapon is you just hit someone with it so that it cuts through the sheath and then your weapon's drawn.
Oh, that's the economical.
Yeah. So, anyways, but yeah, no, I do not envy the, like, people that have to keep order, especially because everyone's super drunk.
Also that's the unwritten thing of it. Everybody is walking around half lit all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Nice. Well, Dragon Con's coming up. I'm getting the cons mixed up, guys.
It is
con season.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Oh,
Con!
Sorry. Oh, jeez, I thought something was really, really wrong. I was like, oh my God, David. Anyway. Oh, I remember a thing that I was going to bring up. If anybody has access to HBO, watch The Rehearsal. It's the new show from Nathan Fielder, the guy who did Nathan for You. It's really good. It's like the best.
I feel like I read read a summary of this. What's the 5-second pitch?
So Nathan is super awkward around people, but he figured out that by rehearsing situations very meticulously, he was able to get over it. And so he is offering that service to other people, but these rehearsals involve perfect replicas of the bar where an awkward conversation is going to take place, like hiring actors who study footage of the person to get their mannerisms down. When the simulation is running, he's going around with a laptop strapped to his chest, updating flowcharts and stuff.
That's actually pretty amazing.
And so it's just the extremely hilarious in a way that is difficult to describe. But if you had been a big fan of Nathan For You, his Comedy Central show, it's the coolest parts of that to my mind brought over into this bigger budget, even more maximal kind of let's create our own realities kind of way in order to kind of make up for or fill some kind of hole inside of us. It's so good.
One of these episodes is simply called Pretend Daddy.
So that was going to be my thing. Was good television corner, that and Better Call Saul.
People are saying that might be even better than the original.
People have always been saying that to a degree. I think they're very different shows, so I abstain from conversation about it.
Sure.
But yeah, no, we're headed toward the series finale right now. In the past, basically 2 episodes have been fucking wild. I have not been this engaged with an ongoing show since Breaking Bad nearly 10 years ago. So
it's amazing to me. What's that metaphor? Catching lightning in a bottle twice or something?
They just have really talented folks.
Yeah.
But yes, catching any of those metaphors ought to work. Yeah. So I think that's banter. I think that we ought. Man, I should have rehearsed this.
Update the flowchart. Yeah. Banter achieved.
So let's go on to do our regular kind of show. Why don't we? With the grind, the multiplayer, and the unboss, and we can get started with the grind. The grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the past period of time or so. May I go first?
Please
do it.
Yeah, I'll do one. This is new. I have played the first bit of Stray.
Oh, yes.
Oh, nice.
Cat game, baby. I was worried that it was going to be a bit of an Untitled Goose Game kind of deal where the meme appeal was only, what was carrying it through, and the actual game was kind of awkward or whatever. No, this is you're moving around a dead city with no humans and just robots. As a cat who has been separated from the rest of your crew. I guess it's a cat, so collective now. Your clouder, you've been separated from your clouder, so you're trying to get back to them. And
Clouder sounds like the worst social media startup.
It's a really bad word. It's just unappealing. that combination of phonemes. Yeah, I would prefer to say pack or something like that, but that is incorrect. Colony? Colony might also work.
So if I remember correctly, a alternative word of association for cat is a glaring.
A glaring. Ooh, a glaring of cats is good. Yeah, and that's accurate too. Huh.
Yes, the internet confirms a glaring of cats.
Okay, I will shunt into that one for right now. But yeah, this is a third-person exploration game. You're playing as a cat. You move as a cat. You're interacting with the world. You're doing your jumps. Some puzzles involve needing to knock objects off of shelves, which a cat is very apt to do. The ones that I've done so far have been paint cans, to maximize the carnage. But it really highlights that a lot of the appeal of this is the theming, and specifically the animation. They have nailed the way a cat moves. When you knock something off of a shelf, it is not just move against it and then it goes. You press the interact button and hold it, and then he does the very curious what is that? What is that? Tap until it falls off. It's great.
So it
Excellent.
sounds like this is the next Half-Life 2. Just all the physics puzzles.
Oh, I've not seen anything that is like as expressly physicsy as counterweight this seesaw with objects in the room, so you can climb up it to get where you need to go. This is more like examine the environment and see what you can interact with to move forward.
Fair enough.
There's an AI in the early going that is helping you. Eventually, that situation changes, but it's super neat in the early going as you're figuring out how to read these spaces. This AI is controlling neon lights in the city, so it's kind of guiding you. And if you need a hint, you can just press the meow button, and like neon light strips or other like hanging lights, things like that, will kind of just like gently pulse to give you a visual on like which way you need to go.
That is the most wholesome hacking I've ever seen or I've ever heard of.
Meow, and then lit up. Yeah.
So I think my favorite fan theory I've seen that has already come out of this is that the robots occupying the city are actually just humans. It's just that's how cats see people.
They're not acting like people. A lot of people, at least 1 in 10, if they see a cat coming toward them, they would go, "Hey, it's a kitty. What up, man?" And they would like bend down and see if he comes up and sniffs. Give him the cat hello. All of these robots are terrified of you because they mistake you for the only other organic creature that is not like plants that are growing in a couple, in a few different places. They mistake you for I forget what they call the like weird
basically
Zerg. Like it's basically the flood. It's like Zerg.
Dogs.
Yeah.
Be kind. It's dogs.
It's dogs. Yeah, they mistake you for those, so they hide initially, but eventually, they're still nervous, but they will they'll help you out.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I think that the marketing for the game, it's weird to talk about this, but I absolutely indulged in it. It's impossible to think of a better way to get word about your game to spread online than to make a game that is almost designed to get people's actual cats like really excited and trying to figure out where those cats are in there. To make that happen, so you can get people to take photos and videos and post them in order to just like, hey, guess what, so and so like Stray, and then that spreads, and then that spreads. Yeah, I posted a video of Greta was like way into it until she realized, oh, there's nothing there, nothing in that box makes a smell, so I'm gonna go back on top of the couch and just curl up.
So I do like that all the merch they're making for it is just like cat toys and cat backpacks and stuff.
Yeah, no, they know us. They know the cat people. Yeah, but it's neat. It feels a little bit like a more fluid kind of eco at this point, without the escort kind of deal. The escort mission kind of part of it, which is a big part of eco, I know, but
which is the worst part of eco.
It was a complication on the puzzles, which was appreciated. But this, as like a 5-hour game that is just about exploring some neat ruined spaces and learning what happened to the civilization here, I'm into it. I like it quite a bit, and I got it for free. Asterisk. It came with whatever level of PlayStation Plus I have. I haven't updated anything. I just had the previous one that got you the PS Plus games, and then this just was like, hey, download it, you got it. So
it's yours now. Take it. No takebacks.
That's a fascinating storytelling challenge, which is kind of revealing the part that the humans are going to be most interested in, which is kind of like what happened in this world, through the eyes of the animal that is categorically the most uninterested.
Categorically.
That. But yeah, like that's very interesting.
Yeah,
man. Meanwhile, released today on Xbox is Watch Dogs 2, which is by far the least interesting pet themed cyber dystopia.
I understand Watch Dogs 2 is actually pretty good, especially compared to the first one.
It actually it's pretty good. It's a deeply disappointing depiction of the Bay Area, but other than that, it's actually very good.
Oh, it's a bummer. Yeah. Any questions about Stray? Because that's pretty much all I got.
You mentioned knocking stuff over as like objectives, I guess. Like what is giving you the objectives? Is it just that robot or?
No, it's stuff that you just kind of figure out. The robot is not necessarily, has not been terribly talkative just yet. The little drone that you get, but just figuring it out. So not everything. You can just knock stuff over for fun. You can be the proper cat and cause problems on purpose. But no. So like, okay, I need to get into this room, and the only exposed entrance that I have is a skylight. I can look up on a painter scaffold above it and see that there's a paint bucket kind of sitting near the edge. Okay, I need to use my jumps and figure out the right sequence to get up there to knock it off so it crashes through the glass, sprays paint everywhere, and then I can proceed forward.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Presumably the sprays paint was an important part of the process.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have included it.
That's the asshole part of the cat. So
yes,
okay.
Have that put into the gameplay.
Yeah. I'm curious to see how Dottie will react to it. There will be a chance for that because I haven't finished it yet, but that'll be a nice little weekend snack once I get some slack on assignment play.
Can you die in any form in the game or like fail a level?
Okay, so I have not failed yet. I'm very invested in protecting this cat. So far, again, this is about the first hour of a 5-hour game. So far, there's been a scene after you're separated, like you're separated by a fall, like they all jump across and then you miss it because the pipe breaks and then you fall. There's like a little bit of time where the cat is kind of limping, favoring other legs, but it gets sorted out just fine. I do not know if it is possible as the cat to die, and I cannot make any guarantees that this cat's going to make it through the story safely. I also cannot make any guarantees that other cats in the story are going to make it through safely. If that's a bummer to you, there are sites where you can go to kind of take a look. I know Will's
Polygon actually has an article that explains all that. So if you want to know, you can know.
Yeah, Will's review on the AV Club also kind of addresses that because he's a big cat guy, and there's always Does the Dog Die? Is that service? Are you guys familiar with that?
Yes.
It's great. It's like a huge database for a bunch of different stuff, and it's not just where like, hey, does the dog in this thing die? There's a whole bunch of other, for lack of a better word, like content or trigger warning kind of deals. So like, oh, is there any like, does anything bad happen to somebody's eyeball in this? Yes or no? Which like
the phobia filter.
Yeah, it's a phobia filter, which is neat. But yeah, go and check all those if that's going to be a deal breaker to you. My gut sense is that because of how much this crew that's making it obviously loves cats, so much so that they like figured out how to simulate the movement of one perfectly to kind of capture kind of their whole deal, then they're probably not going to do anything gratuitous, but everybody's line's going to be drawn in different places. Yeah. Ben, you were going to ask something?
I was just going to say, I have also played this game, so I would like to go next as a segue.
Okay, I want to hear what you think.
If that works. So I'm about halfway through. My pre-planned joke is that I was going to call it a puzzle catformer, because that's kind of what it is. I totally agree. The animation and the art style is really well done. How they embed like where you should be heading at every part of the game is really good. With maybe like one exception, there's one part where I got a little bit lost, but the atmosphere is really, really good. The robots are okay. They're a little bit maybe bland, but maybe that's what robots should be. Like, because there's like, you reach a point where there's like maybe a dozen of them and like maybe only one or two have anything of value to say. The one thing that's a little bit disappointing is like when you interact with people, you can show them items and stuff. and you basically get the same line from every robot. And I guess maybe that could diegetically work because maybe they're all programmed the same way or something. But yeah, other than that, it's half of it's kind of like puzzle, which is kind of like revolves around like fetch quests, but it's like a person A needs item B and person B needs item C sort of thing. And and then there's platforming elements with like there's points where you need to run away from certain things, and I think that's the only point that you can actually like quote unquote die in the game. But yeah, the atmosphere is really good. Gameplay wise, though, it's kind of like a little bit bland for me, maybe, or like I was maybe hoping that the mechanics would be kind of more unique as well, since it's a very unique setting, and that's kind of where I was starting to draw the comparison to Untitled Goose Game in my mind, where like with that one, it's like they devote a button to fanning your wings, and it's like, okay, I'm on for this. This one, it's interesting where it's like they have the meow button, which is nice, and then like super nitpicky, but it's like the meows I thought could be a little bit better, maybe, or like some of them sound like a human making a meow. I'm not sure, but I guess to their credit, they do a good job of like having different meows and different contexts based on like how the cat might be feeling. So that part was good.
The bulk of the meows end up being more like chattering, which makes sense because cats only do the meow kind of sound with I promise I won't meow again. They only do the stereotypical meow around people because they're mimicking babies. They're mimicking infants.
It's a learned thing.
Yeah, it's something that they learn through feedback. Cats on their own or cats with each other really only do like the clicks and the squeaks. You know?
Okay.
Yeah.
I will say they do have a good job of I care very much about the protagonists with like very little character development, quote unquote, where the scene you mentioned before where the cat falls down, it's kind of like the offset of the game of emotional response, seeing a cat trying to hang on to a platform. It's like, oh no.
So this is like the Tomb Raider of cats.
They don't
for a moment.
They don't gratuitously impale the cat ever, so maybe not.
That's because impaling a cat is never gratuitous.
Come on.
Oh no.
You realize your cats know where you sleep, right?
Oh no.
But it's I do appreciate the art style of the game. And basically everything the artists have done was all like really, really well done. Even though like most of the environment is like cyberpunky, the initial environment you're in is a little bit different than that, and that looks really nice. So I'll be interested to see like how many more settings there are before the end of the game. I think I'm about halfway through, maybe.
Were you disappointed when you got to the point where you had a little like drone who was talking to you and talking to other people?
Not terribly. No.
Okay.
I wasn't especially disappointed by it or anything. No.
I was a little bummed just because I thought that they had done a very good job up to that point, brief though it admittedly was, with just like, oh, like what if we just had a game that was,
no dialogue.
Yeah.
True.
And it's that's maybe not possible with the story that they want to tell, but like the second it became like, oh, hey there. Let me adjust my decoder to be able to talk to you. It became just a little bit less special to me. Less special doesn't mean bad. It just means that like, oh yeah, like this was headed in a direction that I was like, yeah, and then it just kind of regressed to the mean a bit.
Yeah, I think the game you're describing would have been a much more interesting game if they would have designed around that sort of thing. I didn't even think it as of a possibility, so I was not disappointed. But now I am. So,
geez, I didn't mean to make this less special for you. Hi, Don.
No, I'm just kidding.
Take my shoulder. Okay.
Yeah, and then the other thing I noticed is it's like all the like the quote unquote like cat things you do. It's all based on the environment. Whereas like Untitled Goose Game, it's like all you are doing the controls, and maybe there might be an interaction with the environment, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah.
Like here, it's like if there's a stack of books, you can jump on it and knock it over, or if there's something on a shelf, you can jump up and knock it off. But like, there's not as much the cat can just do on its own. To like, but that said, like you're still kind of immersed in this character of being a cat, so it's not like it's this is very very weak arguments against it or anything.
To me, the being a cat part of it is less like interacting with specific things, like Dottie walking right across my desk right now, like I'm not even here, and more being in the space as a cat and figuring out how to navigate it using the jumps and the fact that they're small. It's more about understanding space in different ways.
Yeah, and I think the traversal on the whole is like pretty good. There's only like a few spots where it gets a little like jumbled, but there's like a couple different platforms you could jump on, and it gets a little bit frustrating. But by and large, like 99% of it, I think is really good, and I think the platforming is really well embedded in the environment. Again, like complementing the art style of it, like the AC units that they have on houses, like being very like just diegetic things that you can jump on, and like in having those like tiny spikes that you sometimes see on tops of houses to indicate when you can't jump on something.
Yeah.
All that stuff's really, really good. So it is a pretty fluid gameplay when you're trying to do some platforming.
Yeah. So this raises a question to me. Is it a mistake that robots would need to, because robots wouldn't need AC? Or knowing, how much money Bitcoin spends on cooling, is it robots would especially need AC?
These are places that used to be occupied by people.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And kind of going with some of the other things, like there's plants there, even though there's no humans, but the robots just are taking care of plants because that's what they feel like they're supposed to do. So yeah. So even if there's not humans around, take advantage of all these things. They kind of explain it as like, maybe the robots are just here to live out what the humans should be doing anyway.
Yeah.
But who knows?
I mean, having plants is definitely what the humans should be doing and aren't.
Yep.
It's on a very large scale. So I don't think I have too much more to say about the game. But I'll probably have it beat by next week, so I can talk about it then. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
I do have one other game. The other game I have is in early access, but it's called Last Call BBS.
Oh, new Zachtronics.
Yeah, it's a Zachtronics game. I think it came out on the 4th of July, so it's been out a couple of weeks. One of the streamers I saw playing it, and so I checked it out. I've played a couple Zachtronic games before. I think Opus Magnum might have been the last one. I really like the format of this one. It's not a wholly original game like other games have done similar things before, but basically the basic premise is, especially other Zachtronic games have done this before, is you are on a weird computer that is a kind of bespoke or unknown operating system that something that didn't sell well, but I forget what the exact name is. It's like
Unix.
Sakuyama. Yeah, it's like a Japanese operating system. And it's somebody else's computer, and they have this 90s type technology for where they have this repository of games that you can download. And so you yourself are on this like operating system that looks akin to like a Windows 93 sort of thing. What's really kind of sly is like you have a icon for like your computer, and that has all the settings for the game where you can change like the display resolution. You can power down the computer, which turns off the game and exits. But then you have other things where you have this, I think it's called like Netronics, which is this program that is dial-up where you have to specifically dial in to a specific address, and you can download these ROMs of games. And there's like maybe 7 or 8 of them. And to keep with the immersion, when you download it, it literally puts up a meter, and you have to wait like 4 or 5 minutes for it to download tiny, like few megabyte game, And so literally today when I was doing that, I was like, all right, I started downloading that, and I walked across the room and downloaded Stray, and like literally was waiting for that. And I'm like, one of these is not justified here. But it is like cute that it kind of keeps with the immersion of that. And the games themselves are pretty interesting. There's like maybe 8 different ones. And I mean, this is an early access. There's not really any like narrative thing here, but I think thematically what it's doing is like, so for example, one game is just like a miniature painting where it's just this like weird mini game where you have those gray like plastics of all the different pieces that you can literally cut out, spray paint, and assemble together, kind of like Legos, but it's a computer program. Mm-hmm. And every time you play one of these, kind of like a note comes up by the person who owns this computer, kind of talking about the program and why they thought it was interesting and why they wanted to make a ROM of it, and their kind of like library of ROMs that they're vending out to whoever wants them. Mm-hmm. So there's one that's very kind of like Zen Legos arty. There's one that's a music type game in the sense of you're building these circuits. So these audio files are I guess like recording correctly. So you're basically like making gates of different inputs of sounds and combining them. Mm-hmm. So it's music themed, but by and large, it's another Zachtronics type game where you're building circuits. And then there's another game that I played a whole bunch of, which is like, it's this weird kind of like a Picross game, but it's called Dungeons and Diagrams, where it's like thematically you're in a dungeon and it has like the row and column and different numbers on it to show how many blocks there are there. But instead of it making a picture, what it is you're making this like dungeon map, like a D&D dungeon map. Oh. And the rules of it is you're making a contiguous hallway, and there's enemies that are on the map, and there's treasure chests that are on the map, but there's no walls anywhere, and you're building the walls essentially. Okay. And the rules of it are monsters are at dead ends, and if there's a dead end, there's a monster there. Like it's a if and only if. Mm-hmm. Treasure chests are in a 3x3 blank room, anywhere in that position, and there's one exit. So like it'll be surrounded by 3x1 walls, except for one of those spaces will be empty. Mm-hmm. And then other than that, it's a entirely contiguous like single hallway that's connecting everything together, and that's all you're given. And so you kind of go about, kind of mathing out these puzzles where it's like, okay, there's 3 bad guys in this row, and I have a 5 on top of that. So it's 8x8 grid. So that has to be all walls. And then these have to be open spaces next to them. And so you can mark open spaces with your right click, and you can fill in blocks with your left click. And you like slowly kind of hone in on what the map is. And I think there's like maybe 64 of these puzzles or so, maybe even 100. Really fun, but then it's like basically when you think about it, it's very bare bones game design of it, or it's puzzle design of it, And so, as I said, each of these like small games like have this like narrative attached to it, and a lot of the narratives are kind of expressing kind of like the frustrations of like the larger gaming industry and kind of like the business side of things, or like kind of like what the point of making games should be about. And so, kind of like as a whole, what this game is doing is like, it feels like it's much more emotionally expressive than previous games, where it feels like it's the person who made this game talking about their opinions on the gaming industry. Mm-hmm. So it's really interesting so far. I'm curious to see where it goes when it's going to be released like fully, but it feels like a pretty whole game right now, as an early access product.
So it's basically he's making a game about why this is his last game.
It could be.
It is. They're closing the studio down.
Okay, I hadn't looked into the backstory of this. The other, again, I hadn't, so maybe you guys know more than I do. The other thing that I thought it could have been about is. This is also kind of like a platform to make games. So in like the help screen, there's a website that'll direct you to, which is like off of their website, but it literally gives you an API so that you can make your own ROMs. And I don't know if anyone's done this yet, so this is something I might need to look into this. But it's like literally telling you how you can like draw a window and stuff like that, and like write functions in Java, and where to put the file on your local storage, so that you can be able to have that ROM. And I believe that I don't know how you host it, if you might just do it like through a Discord or Reddit or something like that. But I think it gives you the tools so that you can make your own. And so then the other thing that I was thinking is like, maybe they say that this is their last game because if they want to make games, they just make it on this in the future. But I don't know. I haven't read into that. I don't know what their next plans are, or if like how close the narrative is to how Zach, I forget his name, feels about the gaming industry. So
No.
Man, but Java though.
yeah, that's true. Yeah. I'm not going to defend JavaScript, so yeah.
Oh no, JavaScript's fine.
I believe it's JavaScript.
Okay. I thought you said Java.
I probably did, yeah. But it's JavaScript.
Yeah, no, JavaScript's a proper functional language.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this is a lot of fun. I think probably people who are more into like programming probably get more of a kick out of this type of game. I'm not sure how it lands, but it could be fun for everyone. So, and there's enough diversity in the ROMs that you probably like one of the games at least. So
that's the thing. The fact that this is a sampler platter means that it's going to have the version of Zachtronics that I like, which is the optimization stuff, as opposed to the programming kind of deal. I'm more in the space chem kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's as a side note, Ben. Just the thing that I think is kind of a fun thing is one of the reasons this is the last game is because he's apparently gotten his dream job, which is apparently teaching high school students to program.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that guy's dream job, and I love the fact that his dream job is being a high school teacher.
Hey,
is it in the U.S. or is it outside the U.S.?
I'm not sure.
Because that's legitimate dream jobs in other countries, but
yeah.
Well, true.
He with some Zachtronic games in the past, he's sold like educational licenses to them or made specifically educational versions of them.
Oh, okay.
So I think
I saw that on the website.
Yeah, I think he in general has kind of always had a bit of a teaching mindset. So that is cool. That is good news to hear, as opposed to kind of the bad news version that I had in my head about it.
Yep. Nope.
Very cool. Stray and Last Call BBS.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. What's the coolest robot you painted?
I only assembled one, and I didn't spend a lot of time with it. So
Yeah.
I downloaded another ROM. But I painted one of the set, which is just like random parts of it yellow, so it looks shitty. But
oh man. Let's see. David, how about you?
Yeah. So I actually don't have a ton. I've been continuing on with Elite Dangerous. I'm trying to one of the big, I don't know if it's straight to end game, but one of the big progression elements is by doing certain things in game, you unlock access to different engineers who are all specialists in different technologies. So like a certain type of weapon or ship hardware, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to do these various things to unlock them, and then once you know about them, they give you a quest to retrieve a certain item for them. And then ultimately what they do is they're how you customize your equipment on your ship.
Okay.
So they basically give a big boost to some aspect of, say, a weapon with a associated drawback. Usually it's something like it uses more power or overheats more quickly or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it really varies. One of them, the way you unlock is traveling 100 light years from the starting location.
Okay.
And they're kind of a exploration oriented engineer. There's another one that you have to turn in a certain number of bounties from pirates. The one I'm currently working on, which is kind of what I've been doing, is there's one that you have to sell items in 5 different black markets.
Huh.
Which is interesting. I think I mentioned last time there's kind of a neat smuggling mechanic of having to manage your ship's heat in order to lower your signature so you don't get caught smuggling.
Mhm.
But the thing is, like, I cannot figure out the actual legitimate black market mechanic of, like, you're supposed to be able to, what is illegal in a given sector depends on what type of government it has.
Okay.
So the easiest thing to do is, like most fascist or dictatorship sectors, and I think it's also like one of the specific factions, it's really easy to buy slaves, and then you can, sell them in any of the, civilized government types.
Ew.
But I don't want to do that. And so
Right.
that leaves things like, it really varies. So it's like alcohol, say, might be an illicit good, but only in theocracies.
Okay. So you have to get way more specific with it.
Right. And I'm not smart enough to do that.
No.
So what I've learned is one of the weird items is you can also sell stolen items. However, I'm also not doing really piracy. But what I found out is any of the contracts you get to, like, retrieve an item from a crash site or to ship items, if you sell them, they count as stolen.
Okay.
And I found there's a glitch where basically if you go to, say, like a crash site on a planet and, pick up the item you're supposed to be retrieving, and then save and exit and restart, the item will respawn when you get there next. So I'm just getting a bunch of extras of the item and then going and selling them on the black market. Which is probably cheating, but I don't know. Probably the other most fun thing I've did is one of the exploration people wanted basically a alien like metal. So you have to go to the alien species, kind of these organic, giant organic space jellyfish crabs.
Okay.
And they seed planets with these sort of barnacle things that grow the metal. And so I went and did that. But, at least part of the time when I was scanning it, actually one of these jellyfish things showed up.
Ooh.
And sort of like, did the sort of abduction beam and it's like lifting my my lunar rover type thing up in the air. So I managed to escape from that. It actually wasn't that dangerous, but was very disconcerting.
Disorienting at the very least.
Yeah, exactly. Continues to just be a bonkers kind of Eve with gameplay game.
Have you run into other folks while you're out there doing this stuff? How much is the multiplayer angle kind of factored into your experience so far?
Not much. Other than, like, there's a very active community of people creating guides and like new player helps and stuff like that. Other than that aspect of it, not that much. It's hard to say because there are NPCs and they all have very wacky names that definitely sound like they could be players.
Okay.
However, I've been in enough of the kind of very noteworthy popular sectors that almost certainly there have been actual players around, although I don't know that I've ever actually interacted with them.
Everybody just kind of minded their own business.
Right, exactly. I know PvP piracy is a thing, although my understanding is that it's fairly heavily weighted towards the defender. It's fairly easy to basically just jump to hyperspace and go to the next system.
Okay.
So
it's easy to run away. It's not necessarily easy to run the fight if you're the defender.
Right, exactly. And I imagine some of it, like, I know there's a whole PvP community. I'm currently running a one of my main loadouts is actually running like NPC fighter craft, which is apparently considering unsporting in the dueling community, which makes sense because it's literally just, an NPC flying around shooting at people. But like, I figure if any pirates try to attack me, I don't care about being sporting.
Bad form, Peter.
Other than that, sorry, any questions about that?
No, I have more questions. Was that like a Dr. Octopus thing you were doing there, Dennis?
It's Captain Hook. Come on, man.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't have a lot of affection for that movie, but.
Oh, Hook?
Yeah. Yeah, it's fine.
I went back to it recently. It stood up to me.
I mean, cool. the one with Rufio or whatever was pretty good.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Yeah, I just don't care for it.
It's okay to be scared of pirates. It's fine.
But I have stuff and they want to take it. Oh man, no, I don't think I have any more questions about Elite Dangerous other than the multiplayer thing.
Yeah, so the only other thing I've been doing is I picked up 20 Minutes Till Dawn because it's very good and it's like $4 not on sale.
Yeah, my little sister has been, her boyfriend has been playing it. She says it looks like a panic attack. Her boyfriend can't get enough of it. So this is like a roguelike dual stick shooter kind of thing.
Yeah, so it's very, very similar to Vampire Survivors, except that same basic thing. Survive for a period of time. This time, instead of being 30 minutes, it's 20 minutes. Hence the name. Mm-hmm. However, it's you have to actually shoot this time.
So it's not auto shooting based on the pattern of the weapon that you select.
Right. Exactly. So you. Basically, you select a character that determines, has some special abilities. So, for example, there's one that you can re-roll the upgrades each time you level up. There's another that basically, when you kill an enemy, it creates a little ghost that like flies around briefly and attacks enemies, things like that.
Okay.
And then you also select a weapon. So anything from like revolvers, shotguns. There's a bat gun that just shoots out bats that fly around and attack your enemies.
Okay.
What kind of bats? Like the wood or the animal?
The animal.
There's a switch. It goes back and forth between both of them.
it's double barrel.
No, but is it corked?
Wow. But no, the thing here though is compared to Vampire Survivors, I don't know. I guess the weapon selection is very distinct in Vampire Survivors. Here your upgrades are much more oriented, most of them, around modifying the aspects of your gun. So it's like how many bullets you have in the chamber, multi-shot, how quickly it reloads, things like that. And then also there's a lot of abilities that either activate on reload or on fire, things like that. So you can get an ability called fan fire where whenever you reload, you basically shoot a spray of bullets and a 360 around you.
Okay. That sounds like the opposite of reloading.
Sounds like some Borderlands like logic.
yeah. I mean, it very much is the very approximate in their effects. But it's really cool because you can build a thing around this where, for example, there's a number of the upgrades that might make your gun more powerful, but actually decrease the number of rounds in the magazine.
Makes sense.
And so you might build with that. There's actually one that just straight up, you can only ever have like one bullet. And so if you're doing that, every shot is just this massive multi-shot.
Okay.
So it's a lot of fun. Kind of the setting is actually a little bit Castlevania, but I'd say more explicitly are like traditional vampire huntery as opposed to like, I don't know, Castlevania's weird, whatever it is.
That all of that nonsense over there.
Right, exactly. But yeah, it's also very difficult. I have played a fair amount of it. I don't know how many hours, but a number of runs have yet to make it to the end of a run yet.
Okay.
One of the things actually I think with it is instead of having a health bar, you have a certain number of hearts, and there's also no built-in way to heal. Just some of the upgrades either give you more maximum health, which starts out full, or there's a handful of upgrades that heal you.
Okay.
And so to me, it seems much less tolerant of mistakes than Vampire Survivor is. But yeah, it's still early access. They're still constantly adding things to it. I think they actually added a new character or a new weapon like yesterday.
Yeah.
I think they added a bow and arrow was the new thing.
The art style's really good. I like the limited palette.
Yeah. It's very well done.
Yeah.
So yeah, I recommend it. It's a good game.
20 minutes till dawn, but they do till with 2 L's, which kills me because it should be apostrophe TIL until dawn. But
I mean, you're actually looking for a cash register.
No, okay. it's the dawn of tills. Yeah. Nice.
Minutes actually refers to like a segment of a degree as well.
Yes, it's actually very specific.
Yes.
Did you have anything besides Elite Dangerous and Until Dawn?
Only bad jokes.
Before we go on, I hear like a clicking. It's like somebody's playing with scissors or something like that.
Oh, that's me. My bad.
Okay.
I play with things when I'm nervous.
Oh, you shouldn't be
Are you
nervous.
so nervous?
I am nervous when I'm speaking.
Oh, okay.
That's my secret. I'm always nervous.
I feel like then we need the narrator. That's called anxiety disorder.
You rang.
Yeah.
And Ben, how about you? Or not Ben? Sorry, Dennis. We've already done Ben.
I'll go again.
No, Ben. I know you're hiding something. Tell us.
Dennis.
Yeah. Well, since we're talking roguelikes, I might as well talk about the new one of those that I've been playing.
Okay.
And specifically, I would categorize this as a Slay the Spire-like. It's a game called NEOVERSE.
NEOVERSE.
Yeah.
Okay. Go on.
This is not the connected universe of Matrix adjacent characters, but
Nor does it have anything to do with Neopets.
No. Which I think is a good. Did Neopets go NFT? I feel like Neopets went NFT.
That's the one. Yeah,
they're really primed for it. I would not be surprised if there's something there, because that company, at least for a while, got real scammy. Neopets is the one that it was bought by Scientology.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah.
Every Neopet has an e-meter.
Yeah, I don't think that the Church of Scientology owns it now. I think that it's been sold to some other incorporated holding kind of deal. But
the Church of Satan now, actually, surprisingly so.
As long as it's not the Satanic Temple, then we're good. The Church of Satan's like the free speech one. But sorry,
don't get those two confused.
They get real angry. No, I just have my dumb joke about Neopets, so I'm going to recede into the background while you actually describe what this game is.
Yeah. No, I want to talk about Neopets now. So NEOVERSE. It is a Slay the Spire style roguelike where you are progressing through a series of battles with the ability to add cards to your deck and earn other rewards at the end of every battle, progressing towards ever more difficult bosses. Story is very light. It's like, hey, humans kind of got so advanced that we started messing around with alternate dimensions and accidentally blended them all. So hence the Neoverse, and you're trying to sort that out.
Okay.
unversed, I guess. You can choose from a couple different classes. They're all just different versions of like anime girls, I guess. You got your like techno blade gun cyberpunk person, you've got like a paladin crusader type person, and then you've got like a real fantasy ethereal summoner type person that would be right at home in EverQuest. And they've each got kind of their own unique gimmick or mechanic that's fun to give them a bit of different flavor, but you're trying to get through all these different battles. And I keep on saying Slay the Spire, but if you've played that, this will definitely feel familiar. It's got like a 3D art style though. If you've heard of or played Tainted Grail, that feels it looks a lot more like that.
It looks like, and I know that this is going to sound like a diss, and I honestly don't mean it that way. This looks like a Dreamcast game to me.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, I'm very specifically getting like Phantasy Star Online kind of vibes off of it.
Everything is shiny.
Yeah.
That's Phantasy Star.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and even you're in like these ruins of an old temple or whatever, and it's still all shiny. So yeah, that's a very apt description. It also adds a lot of visual noise. Like the designs are fine, and that's great.
It's real noisy. It's real messy.
Mm-hmm. But when you just want to find the stat that you're looking for, or like figure out, okay, what is this buff that the enemy has? What does it do? It can be really hard to just parse at a glance. So cool designs plus, and really that's all you're getting for it. But it's also, you got to take into account, I guess, the game that people wanted to make, right? Whoever made this wanted to do these cool 3D models, so more power to them.
They wanted anime girls.
Yeah, basically,
because they know they sell.
I guess, yeah. I mean, you spend a lot more time looking at the enemies, which are all kind of monster dudes. It feels like the way to do it is to invert that, but
monster girls.
Yeah. Don't give them any ideas.
Also, don't Google monster girls.
Yes.
I do have a dumb joke to make. You mentioned the fantasy gal would look at home in EverQuest, which she just constantly chained to a nearby object.
Yeah. Yeah, if the nearby object is her summon.
Fair enough.
So everyone has, you've got your mana to spend, and then everyone has an additional resource that's used in a slightly different way. So one character, the resource is overheat, and so certain more powerful cards will add to your overheat gauge, and so certain cards will lower it, and you're trying to make the most out of it without overheating, which adds debuff cards to your deck. Or you can take cards that then work off of debuffs, and then you're trying to overheat as often as possible.
Yeah.
The paladin has faith, which every time you get it to a certain point, it adds a special kind of overpowered card to your hand. And they also have punishment, which is basically, when you're attacked, you deal a certain amount of damage back. So very thematic for a paladin. And then the summoner, you pull up a different monster. There's a lion, a griffin, and a dragon that each do different things when you play different card types. And you can either try to focus on one and like really build out around one, or you can try to build around switching between monsters, which is all supported. So there's kind of a couple different ideas in each of the classes, which is fun because you never want to feel like, okay, by picking this class, I have to focus on A, B, C. The fun is exploring and building the deck. Mechanically, the really interesting thing in the format of the game, though, is all the ways that it pushes you away from optimal play. So, obviously in every battle, what you're trying to do is kill the enemy before they kill you. That's very simple. That's on the page. And usually it's not too hard to figure out, okay, I need this much block to not get hurt, and I just want to deal as much damage back as I can. However, there's two main things that change your decision-making. The first is the way that they dole out missions. So unlike similar games where, certain nodes will be battles and then certain nodes are healing or, bonuses, etc. In this, everything is a battle, but when you pick a battle, you also get an associated mission, which might be like have 15 block at the end of a turn, or play this many of this type of card over the course of a game, or etc. And completing those missions is how you get those kind of utility rewards of healing or extra gold to spend, or what have you. So that factors in. You might take a lower tier mission, not because you don't feel like you can handle something better, but because you like the reward, or the reward is more relevant for your deck. So that has you, one, choosing missions differently, and then two, within the mission, making decisions you might not like. I'm just going to waste this turn gaining block. There's no good reason other than I get extra skill points at the end if I do it, and so that's very interesting, because you're looking for your windows where you can do that without sabotaging your run.
So is this like the Slay the Spire kind of tree map, but with more information about what you're going to be facing in each of them?
It is mercifully much simpler. It is just every time you finish a mission, you get 3 more options, and you pick one of the 3 options. Which, if there's one thing that I just loathe about Slay the Spire, it's how confusing that map is.
Yeah.
On top of it, they don't even make the different levels parallel with each other. They're all scattered around. But that's Slay the Spire. This is NEOVERSE is way more straightforward in the way it presents. The second thing that pushes you away from optimal play is the combo system. So there's 4 different major card types. There's like attack, defend, instance, and constants, which you can probably intuit what each of those card types do based on the names. And in addition to playing them, there's also a little meter at the bottom of your screen that shows those types of cards in order. And if you can ever play the cards in that order that it shows, you get 2x damage on the next attack you play. So there's like a crit built into the system, but you have to follow a certain order of playing cards.
Yeah.
And if you ever break the order, it just resets and gives you a new potential combo. And that really pushes you away, because you're like, all right, is it better that I just play the best cards for me on this turn, or is it better that I kind of build up to 2x damage, over multiple turns or within this turn? Sometimes, you're like, okay, I'm going to try for the combo, but I don't have all the cards, so I hope I draw into the right cards for the combo as I'm going. And so it gives you really good excuses to just play non-optimally, for potentially even greater rewards.
Okay. No, I like that. Anything that kind of gently encourages you with the carrot to kind of stop being complacent is good design to my mind.
Yeah, and it does that really well. So there's always an excuse to play the card you want to play. Either it's the right card for the moment, or it helps you towards a quest, or it helps you towards a combo. Like that, you can kind of rationalize whatever path you want.
Yeah.
And try to get all technical and think through all those different layers, or just be like, nah, this feels right. I feel like a combo this turn. Yeah. And go for it. So yeah, that's NEOVERSE. The one other thing that I'll say that's very interesting is the way that they do the store in the game. So you always have access to the store, and you can literally buy items in the middle of a battle. So yeah, there's no like I said, it's always a battle. You never have like I'm going to take this turn to do a store. You just like pause, open it up, and if you have the gold, you can buy it. And so there's real incentive to kind of leave yourself an item slot and just if things get hairy, you can pop into the store, buy the right item to fix it, and pop back out.
Huh. Does that make things too easy, or is this just more like difficulty, or a straightforward approach to difficulty is messed with by the different conditions they can allow you to put on yourself?
Yeah, I've never felt like it was unfair that I had access to the store.
Gotcha.
So I think they balance around it well. The store is a set of items that you can purchase them all, but only once, and then you have to pay to refresh it. And so there's definitely moments where it's like, okay, I'm about to lose here on this boss, but if I just reset the store enough, maybe one of those 15 damage items will come up, and That's my last hope kind of deal, which is really fun.
Right.
So cool little game. Like I've always said, like a roguelike has to be very different or do something really interesting to stand out.
Mhm.
And I think NEOVERSE accomplishes that.
How long did it take you to learn to look past the visual noise?
I'm still learning, baby.
Okay.
Yeah, it is rough. I think the biggest thing is just being able to start recognizing what cards do on site.
Yes.
Because when you have to stop and read every card, then it's just brutal. Like it is information overload. So that's probably the biggest thing that eases it, but it is still too much visual going on for what the game is.
Nice.
Yeah, that's NEOVERSE.
NEOVERSE. Did you have anything else in addition to that?
Nothing too huge. I've been playing more God of War, and that continues to be great. But I'll probably talk about it again when I finish it.
Cool.
And then the only other thing that I want to mention is Trackmania, my perpetual game, because I've actually done an honest to God speed run for the game.
Ooh.
And you're saying, Dennis, it's a racing game. It's always a speed run. Yes, that is technically correct. In this term, or in this game, the kind of community considers a speed run when you try to beat all of the maps in a campaign in a row. Whereas, usually Trackmania is much more oriented around like perfecting a single map and just getting every single corner perfect and playing that one map over and over again. The speed run is like 25 in a row where you just get that one shot to get through it.
Good enough is good enough.
Yeah, which is, it's more forgiving in some ways and more punishing in others. And so it was just a fun way to mix it up. I have a little mod browser for Trackmania, and I was looking through that and saw there was a speedrun mod. Because unbelievably, like there's no in-game support for like your cumulative campaign time. That just doesn't exist. So I downloaded that mod, but then to make that work, I had to get Live Split and make an account on speedrun.com. So I've got all the speedrunning things now.
Cool.
And yeah, it was surprisingly painless getting everything set up. So kudos to the guide that was in the mod and then the people who make that software. But yeah, there was an interesting. I think that's the first time I've ever played a game with the express intent of speedrunning.
Oh, cool. I mean, like, what was your process? Kind of like initially getting over the hump, like what was your process breaking your habit to kind of perfect things?
Yeah. Unbind the reset key, right?
Yeah.
No, I basically my mentality was like, all right, the first 5 tracks are usually very easy, I shouldn't say very easy, very simple. And I held myself to, I'm going to get a good time on the first 5 tracks. And so I'll allow myself to start the speed run over in that window. And then after that, it's just go for it. And that's been a pretty good way to feel like I'm setting myself up for success without getting too hung up on every little piece of your run.
Nice.
Yes, indeed. And that's what I've been playing.
Cool.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and then you answer it. Dennis, what is the question that you ask the nice people?
Yeah, we're going to try to keep it classy this week. So there's a lot of class-based games out there. What game makes the most interesting use of that kind of class-based system?
Yeah. I'll get us started here with Jeremy, who says, I will make the obvious choice here, Dark Souls. Maybe it's not a class in itself, but depending on your build, your playthrough will be very different. Yeah. I wish that the system in Dark Souls was not called a class system, because that's not what it is. It's like, just call it initial investments.
That's your starting equipment.
Yeah. more so than anything.
And it's very backwards, because you're like, what stats are the minimum? What are the minimums? So I'm not wasting those instead of what are the maximums?
Right.
Yeah, I was going to say, in the original Dark Souls, it was basically, are you a pyromancer or are you wrong?
Pretty much. You get all those, your soul level 1, you get all your level ups to make your choices. Yeah. Let's see here. Ben, what does Greg say?
Greg says the Dishonored games seem to make good use of both sneak murder and rampage and kill what you want skill sets. Unlike, say, Assassin's Creed games, you have a fighting chance if you get noticed or caught.
Yeah. Dishonored is a good answer for this. I wouldn't have thought of that. But yeah, you absolutely are specializing.
Mm-hmm.
David, what does Callum say?
Callum says Final Fantasy Tactics, the job system in that it's a near flawless class system.
You know what, Callum?
I completely butchered that sentence. The job system in Final Fantasy Tactics is a near flawless class system.
Yeah.
I swear I can read.
And I swear I agree, Callum. You took my answer. I could go with a backup answer, but I will just piggyback on yours because that's how I really feel. Just any game with a class system, just take the job system from Final Fantasy Tactics, and you're good. Even Final Fantasy Tactics didn't stick with that, and I have no idea why. So
Really? I didn't realize there were more than 2 Final Fantasy Tactics games.
yeah, there was the PlayStation 1, and then there was the Game Boy Advance, and there was the DS.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let's see. Dennis, what does Alex say?
Alex says, the king is still the king. D&D forever, baby. It remains the nerdiest thing you can do with your brain and still the best use of classes in gaming. And okay, it's not strictly a computer game, but I think most of us play it through the internet, so I'm counting it on a technicality.
I mean,
Yeah, that's fair.
yeah, it's definitely fair, especially with how many games are based off of different versions of D&D anyway. Baldur's Gate, Planescape, it's the thing. Neverwinter Nights.
Although, I think this was the discussion in the Slack or something recently, but have you guys ever looked at just how wackadoodle 2nd edition and earlier D&D classes were?
I mean,
say more about wackadoodle.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, elf and dwarf were not races, they were classes.
Mm-hmm. That's the big one that I know.
Also,
they've kind of come back around to that, right? Race is kind of not in D&D anymore, right?
Right, exactly. But there's now if I remember correctly, it's like different races could only get to certain levels in certain classes or something.
Yeah.
In some of them. I think some of them you had like maximum stats depending on your race. Like or depending on your class, it was just, there was so much nonsense.
Yeah. I do not know what they were trying to say with those systems being the way they were.
Yeah, I think it made sense from a gameplay standpoint, and they did not fully think it through from a diegetic standpoint.
Yeah. Let's see here. John writes, Final Fantasy X-2. The dress sphere system is still, in my opinion, the best job system in any Final Fantasy game. Plus, all the outfits are cute and great.
Wow, I was going to joke about like the dress pun, but apparently that's actually what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how did I not know about this?
Yeah, no, your classes are different dresses in Final Fantasy X too. Which, I was excited to check out, but I still I'll think, yeah, maybe I'll give that a try. Then I remember they changed the combat system from Final Fantasy X's nearly perfect turn-based, where you could see the turn order at the left of the screen, to the regular Final Fantasy active time battle, which I like less.
So when you say it's dress-based, do you mean like, can I equip my character with like a French maid outfit?
One of the classes probably has a French maid kind of thing. Yeah, it's from my understanding, there are different sphere grids that you can use. They all upgrade differently, and you activate the sphere grid, and it does the normal Final Fantasy job system thing of it changes the way your character looks. So it's not like you are finding a dress and that has class stuff attached to it. It's that each class that you pick has a different appearance for the ladies.
That is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Also, it deeply bothers me that they are combining Roman numerals and Arabic numbers.
Oh, it's
Arabic
a mess.
Numbers? Whatever.
Yeah. No, it's a mess. Let's see here. David, what does Austin say?
Austin says, Mass Effect is a great class system. The lining up of 3 classes and then comboing all those classes in interesting ways was fun. and the fact it became more refined with each game was fantastic.
Yeah. No, just making basically a matrix between tech, biotics, and soldiering stuff is a good way to handle it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Vanguard for life in Mass Effect. Love warping and using the shotgun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Ben, what does Patrick say?
Patrick says Final Fantasy XI. It was the first Final Fantasy MMO, and not only could you unlock every class to switch between the ones you wanted to play, it also gave you a sub job. This allowed you to use the main class at your current level and the subclass at half your level, giving potential interesting combinations that everyone then made the meta ones, and that was that.
Yep. Multiplayer game.text.
Oh, that's great.
That's why Magic puts out a set every 3 months. It's like, all right, meta's figured out. Give us more money for this thing.
Oh, man. Dennis, what does Ruki say?
Ruki says, I love how Final Fantasy XIV, erotic roleplay simulator, handles its character classes. Rather than making alts, you can make one character learn every class. I've never been one for making alts in MMOs, but in Final Fantasy XIV, I am my own wingman.
Nice. I had no idea they were that generous with class changes.
Yeah, it gets really bogus in terms of tracking down the starting location for every class.
Oh, because you're supposed to go through their... Yeah.
Yeah, as far as I understand it, it's like, hey, you got to go find the original quest giver for that class. And then you've got your quest inventory filled up with all sorts of level 5 BS when you're level 50. Mm-hmm. And for some unthinkable reason, maybe because I was free to play, but I don't remember seeing specifically that this was a something that got removed when you paid. You have a limit to how many quests you can have in your inventory at once.
Ugh.
And not how many are being actively tracked on your screen, just how many quests you can have, period. And so at a certain point, you've just got to start dropping stuff. So it was a real problem. But the end result is cool that, you don't have to create a new personality for every new role you want to play if you don't want to.
Yeah, that's nice.
And the class quests, at least for the class I played, are actually fairly good and are have storyline and stuff like that. But
yeah.
So also to add even more nonsense to that, all of the crafting disciplines are actually classes.
Yes.
So they really love them jobs.
Let's see here. Final one here. Ben, what does Aaron say?
Aaron says, Persona 5, those exams were a bitch.
Yeah. End on another pun. We cannot escape them. Yeah. I've already said mine, Final Fantasy Tactics. David, how about you? Class system.
Frostpunk.
Ooh?
Oh yeah, I mean it's all about you've got the engineers versus the working class.
There's that one scenario that is entirely about the commoners versus the nobles. Yeah.
Yep.
Ben, how about you?
All right, this is gonna be a technical answer. I'm gonna say Gaia Project, the board game. It's a game. It says what game, not what video game.
You can also just give your answer. I'm not going to be like a shitty lawyer to you.
All right. But it's like they have 14 different factions, and basically each one not only has like a special ability, but they're all like really well balanced, where it's similar to the previous board game they made, where it's like the winningest race isn't really above like 30%, and the losingest race really isn't below 20%. So it's like a really tight spread. So,
Yep. So one other more serious one I'd give is was it the Hidden World? It's you basically choose 2 weapons, and it's got a flat leveling system, so every level takes the same amount of experience. It's just you can level up every single weapon, so you're going to need a lot of them.
Okay.
But the interesting thing is all of the basically anything that's not actually using the weapon, so like all of the passives and things like that, are unlocked for any weapon. So there's a lot of things where, for example, say the shotgun specializes in knocking enemies down, whereas the assault rifle specializes in leeching health. So normally those wouldn't synergize together, but the fist weapon might have a passive where as long as enemies on the ground from being knocked down, all of your attacks leech.
Okay.
So you can basically use all of these side abilities to be the glue to make things that normally wouldn't synergize.
Oh, nice.
So
yeah, that is cool.
Dennis, how about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna go creative with this as well and say Motorstorm.
Okay.
Because that racing game is based on having one track with monster trucks, dirt bikes, and everything in between, all interacting with the track in different ways for a race. It's very impressive that not only is each of those fun to play, and the monster truck, you're just going straight through the mud, and the dirt bikes, you're taking all these ramps and side routes, and you get stuck in too deep mud. Etc. But that it's all competitive, that this wildly different zigzaggy route that you take on the dirt bike, actually time-wise nets out with the monster trucks, etc. So
that I can't imagine how difficult that was to do.
Yeah, it is a real cool feat of game design.
Yeah. Neat. Well, thank you everybody for writing in. If you would like to participate in these in the future, go to facebook.com/The Level Podcast and watch for the post to go up on Monday afternoon. Like that page. You can check it on Monday afternoons. If you like it, it will be notified sometimes. Not all the time, because we're not paying Facebook to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a real hostage situation Facebook has with us right now. Anyway, and thank you, Dennis, for posting it.
My pleasure.
The end boss.
Now it is time for the end boss, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games, often that are exciting to us. Let's see here. I've got the first one in, and this is more of a thing is happening, or maybe a mild update. I forget if we talked about this, but Inscryption is going to be coming to consoles, specifically PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. I do not know if other versions are going to follow shortly, but one imagines that them making a controller interface for the game would that'd be a better investment if they could ship it to lots of places. But yeah, Inscryption is a real cool game that came out last year, I think. And now more people should get to play it. It's weird that it was as PC centric as it was, given that the Daniel Mullins meta stuff in it is present, but not unremovable. Let's say.
Yeah, what I'm reading in the article you posted is that they're going to do some kind of special stuff for PlayStation.
Yeah,
that is weird.
That is very strange. Sony must have offered them, or what is it, Devolver, some kind of really cherry deal.
Devolver has always been cozy with PlayStation.
Yeah,
I remember back in the day they would always be in the indie showcase and stuff like that. So yeah,
Maybe they just went straight to Carter, since he probably doesn't have much going on.
Isn't he?
Wait, the former president?
Oh shit! Maybe don't spoil the game.
I mean, IRL.
The line is blurred, but yeah, it's coming to PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 on August 30th, and I think that's cool. More folks should get to play that game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey Ben, what's going on with this Warhammer stuff?
I don't know.
Hey, me. Sorry. Hey, I scrolled past the name. Hey, David, what's going on with this Warhammer stuff?
Okay, so this is gonna be kind of a weird one. I posted the article that got me thinking about this, but I'm barely going to talk about it.
Okay.
So the basic thing is that for Warhammer, not 40K, I almost said 4K, Warhammer Total War or whatever,
Okay.
The new version of that turn-based strategy game. They are releasing a map that is the actual campaign map, which is the entirety of the Warhammer world, and they've been progressively revealing the starting locations for the different factions.
Okay.
And it's really cool. There's a ton of really cool lore with all the random factions and why they're located different places, stuff like that.
Mhm.
The other thing that's really cool, that's one of my favorite parts of Warhammer, that seeing the map like this makes really obvious, is the fact that it's
Earth.
It's Earth. Like,
Yeah. If you didn't bring that up, I was going to ask, has Warhammer always been set on kind of Earth?
Yeah, so yes.
Okay.
So one of my big things that I find really funny is the Chaos Raiders attacking is basically an, I guess, allegory for the Viking raids.
Okay.
So that's my personal favorite, personal fan theory is that the entire game is basically told by the Empire's perspective, and all of the Chaos Warriors are actually just fairly normal dudes coming to raid. And it's in the lore, eventually Chaos is kind of inevitably going to win and the world will end. But I like the idea that just like in our world, the Vikings are basically going to take over and then, society's going to continue doing its thing.
Yeah, no, it's just going to go.
So I know my understanding is that the Warhammer fans strongly disagree with my assessment on those things.
Okay.
But I personally think that's a more entertaining take on it. More relevantly, though, there's lots of Skaven, so it's going to be a good game.
Okay. Huh. So they released the map for Immortal Empires, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, no Australia.
They've got like a big blank area that's extending down toward where Oceania may be.
Isn't that an actual conspiracy theory? Is that Australia doesn't actually exist?
No, there's Wyoming doesn't exist.
I mean,
birds aren't real.
Has anyone actually been to Wyoming?
Basically nobody lives there, but they still get 2 senators. So, yeah. I've never heard the one about Australia not existing.
Let's see here.
You realize this is how you get on InfoWars mailing list.
This is like Rule 43. Like, there's a conspiracy theory about anything sufficiently big.
No, this is a thing.
Okay.
So while we're out there, I do like, though, that there is China, Japan, and India all exist in Warhammer and have full-on factions and established lore and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I'm curious about, but also it's very, very intimidating. So I will let people who have already read into it enjoy it.
Yeah, the secret is you basically either just randomly read through the wiki or just watch any of the YouTubers that have made surprisingly high production value lore explainer videos.
Yeah, it's always the way to go. Look to the community. Yeah, Dennis, what is happening with Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, the game that exists?
Yeah. The Tiny Tina's Wonderlands has been lauded as like a Borderlands game that gets it right in many ways. So I've heard a lot of good things. But one thing that it is going to have that is at the DNA of Borderlands is lots and lots of randomly generated guns. and Borderlands has always touted having bazillions of guns. And so the stats behind any one gun dropping, technically any gun is a 1 in a million find, or rather 1 in 85 billion find.
Okay.
But they may have had the best out of 85 billion possible guns actually drop in the game.
Oh.
Yeah, so this was gotten by a streamer. It is, and I don't know all the terms, but it's a chaotic piece of gear, so you have to be playing in a special mode to get it. It is an ascended piece of gear, which has a 1% chance of dropping. It has 3 different skills that it enhances with the points spread evenly between them, which is super rare. And then it has 5 different modifiers that all have the highest possible stat available in them. So for all intents and purposes, this is the best possible piece of gear that the game could drop.
Okay.
So the real question, how much do you have to pay Blizzard to get it?
I would be impressed if you had to pay Blizzard anything to get anything in Borderlands.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I would
wouldn't
actually
put it
not be
past them.
surprised.
Yeah.
It's a mod. So this is interesting. Not necessarily because a powerful piece of gear dropped, but it got me learning about just all of the arcane systems behind generating this gear. And people who care about min-maxing Borderlands have done extensive research on this. And it's revealed things like stats are awarded from clusters. So that there 2 stats from the same cluster can't get awarded at the same time on a given weapon, which kind of makes sense to avoid stuff that is just out and out broken, but it leads to some things that are kind of arcane and weird. For example, a shield that has a movement speed boost will never also award a party crit chance boost. How they figured that out, I don't know. But apparently that does not exist in the world of Borderlands. But anyway, so when you sort through all of the different tables that it's pulling from and percentage chances within that, this piece of gear that dropped, which I don't know if I've said the name, it is the Warlock's Amalgam of Glorious Purpose.
Wow, that doesn't sound like it means anything.
No. Sounds like a robot generated it.
Yeah.
But that is, it basically maxed out every single role that is associated with that piece of gear. And hence is the best. But yeah, the other takeaway from that is with these kind of with these stat clusters that the game is pulling from, the bazillions of guns in Borderlands could be even more bazillion-deer if they remove some of those controlling constraints.
But it would also make the experience worse.
I mean, would it be so bad to have a shield that makes me move faster and lets my friends crit more? I don't think that's a problem. Blizzard free the speed crit shield.
Again, Blizzard has nothing to do with Borderlands. Make sure your emails are addressed appropriately.
Email tinytina@blizzard.com.
Man, oh man. And Ben, do you have anything?
I have nothing.
Attaboy. How do we feel about buttoning it up?
Some days I'm really into it. Other days, it's just more complicated.
But how about today?
Yeah, today I'm cool.
Cool.
The credit.
Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to this level number 422. Without fail, whenever I'm about to finish a show, Greta gets right up against my ankles and starts lobbying for treats. So I trained her to do that sometimes.
No, she trained you.
Yes. She trained me to do shows so I could end the shows so she could get a treat. It's weird.
Why is Duckfeed launching all these 5-minute long shows? I don't understand.
Cat's calling the shots. You know what to do to support the channel, support the shows. Patreon, Facebook, telling your friends, ratings or reviews. All of that is good and appreciated. So go and do those things if you can. Dennis, what's happening with Gen Con?
Gen Con is happening the first week of August. I will be there. And you should let me know if you are going to be there so we can hang out and you can come see Deck of Wonders in the flesh.
Nice. I hope it's cardboard, right? Not flesh.
Yes, except for the special edition.
Okay. Cool. Is there anything I'm forgetting?
I think that's it.
Okay. I've been Kole Ross. You can watch my horror game streams on twitch.tv/Duckfeed.tv.
I've been Dennis Furia. You can find me at Gen Con and on Instagram at Deck of Wonders.
I'm David Maismith.
I'm Ben Merkel.
And stick around for some titles. Okay. I only have one. I have the opposite of reloading.
Yes!
Okay.
That's what I wrote down as well.
Okay, so you only have one as well?
I did write down tinytina at blizzard.com, but that was just kind of a last second throwaway.
Okay. Ben, what you got?
I have nothing this week again.
Okay. David?
I've got nothing.
All right. The opposite of reloading it is.
Yes.
Uncontested. It's a title dictatorship now.
Oh, it is decided.